Hey, random people out there on the internet. So this is the next installment of the beginner series. In my last installment, you saw I made some shelves out of some really nice wood. I'm still working on those in that I'm putting more coats of tung oil on there so that they'll be nice and shiny when I take them indoors. It's going to be probably a 3 or 4 day process. So in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, and in the spirit of not wasting things, I want to use up some of the scraps I had before, and that was the mesquite wood, that is. I have a daughter who has asked me to build her a birdhouse, so I think I'll build a birdhouse. But in this series, I wanted to go ahead and move forward and do what I was asking you to do on your first project, and that is to take and look at your project. You may remember the birdhouse if you've been following me. And we want to think about what we did wrong or what we could have done better. You know, how could we do a better job? When I start using that mesquite wood at $21 a board foot, I don't want it to come out like this, all right? This isn't bad. It's a nice enough birdhouse, but the one I want to build will be made out of that more expensive wood, and I plan to use an outdoor finish that is clear so it keeps its color. And so I can't have the kind of imperfections that I had here. If you didn't watch, I pointed out that my strips that I glued together weren't all the same thickness, so there's imperfection and so on and so forth. My bird hole here could have been a little better. I wasn't as careful as I could be. A lot of things, like I said, that I can do better. And so in that spirit, I'm going to look at what I have left over of my mesquite wood, and I'm going to use the same methodology that I used on that birdhouse, in that I want to cut this into some strips, glue them together and have panels and make a birdhouse. Now, that being said, I do want to kind of put it out there that everything I do is one of a kind. That is, once I do something, I've done it, I want to do something different. Well, I've done a lot of birdhouses, and each one is unique in its own way. If you look back through some of my videos, you'll see the one that I built for my sister that was built out of cedar. I want to do something similar to it, but it needs to be different. I want it to be a one of a kind. So here's my leftover wood. You can see that there's live edge bark on here. There's some different coloring and figuring of the wood. So there's going to be some amount of waste that I really can't do much about. I still have the strips that I cut from the shelving that are about a 1/4 inch thick. So I'll probably use the thinnest one I can stand, and that'll be my guide as to how thick I want to slice the rest of this. This other piece, again, has some figuring here, has some wormwood in here, and I don't really want to put that in the house, so I'll end up cutting this off, cutting that off, cutting these in strips, so on and so forth. And even the smaller pieces that I have left over from the shelving, I want to use as much of this as I can so that I don't waste a lot of money. You know, one of the things that I've really hyped up in my videos is trying to work in a budget. The original mesquite wood, and I think I have a receipt over here. For all the wood that I had of mesquite, I paid almost $150 for it. Sounds like a lot of money to me. I don't know about you guys. In any event, at $150, I want to use up every little piece I can. So as I go through and begin to build this birdhouse, you guys probably know I don't work with plans. I kind of look at what I got and try to figure out how to make it work. But when I do it, I want to use up virtually all of this, and only this, to build that birdhouse. So in the upcoming videos, we'll be going through the process of getting our material ready. I don't want to be too repetitive, but I'm going to show you how to set your saw properly so that you get all your strips the same size every time, so that when you put it together, you don't have the uneven ridges and things like that. And one thing that will be completely different is that instead of a paint, which is, you know, if you paint your projects, it's actually pretty easy and it covers up a lot of your boo-boos. But I'm going to be using clear coat. So whatever cuts I make, they're going to show. So I need to be really careful with my cuts, really careful if I do any routing or any drilling into the wood. The entire series is based upon the idea that you can move forward with your particular woodworking hobby or your craft just one step at a time. I'm going to also probably introduce another tool or two so that we can see how I grew my shop. You may or may not want to go down that path. Some of the tools I have might be quite expensive, and they're the best that I could afford for what I do, but they're still relatively budget modeled. And the easiest way to pick up new tools at the best price is to create lists in places like Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc., of items that you'd like to get. And then periodically check that list and see if they've gone on sale. Everything that I bought it while it was on sale at the least expensive price I could get it. I like new tools. Some people like used tools, so don't be afraid to go out and buy corded tools or used tools or different tools that are more in line with your budget. Everybody has a different budget. So as always, I want to thank everybody that has subscribed to my channel, viewed my videos, shared my videos, and made comments. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the comments, because it's always nice to hear from you guys as to what you liked or what you didn't like and where you think I should go next on the next videos. But as always, I end this the same way. Please be safe.